The day's movements with Makwe Masilela from Makwe Fund Managers. Thank you for joining us tonight, Makwe. The market was in the green today. What has contributed to this?
I think market sentiments have been lifted by the fact that we've seen the stimulus coming out of China, mainly for their property market. And we know that the property sector in China accounts for almost 30% of their GDP. And that as well, people looking at the comments coming out of some Fed officials indicating that, yes, we are not too far, from getting to a pause when it comes to the interest rate hike cycle. So that itself lifted market sentiments, as much as we do have the U.S. inflation numbers coming out tomorrow on our radar screen, and hopefully that will continue to confirm that inflation is still going up, but at a slower pace, and definitely that will ring-fence the chances that July interest rates will happen, but going forward, the U.S. might not have to increase interest rates.
So oil prices went also up a bit as there were supply cuts by the biggest oil exporters, Saudi Arabia and Russia.
Definitely, and also banking on the fact that we expected that coming from the developing economies in the second half, we expect some demand to pick up, and also the issue that coming from China itself, we expect a broader economic stimulus, and we know that China happens to be the biggest importer when it comes to crude and the biggest user of crude in the world.
So, Makwe, Steinhoff has announced an extraordinary general meeting for the 26th of July with all shareholders, where they will vote on the dissolvement of the company. And it's being held in Amsterdam, but you can attend virtually as well. Could you explain in layman's terms what this means?
Basically, this is the end of Steinhoff as we know it, since their financial scandal, which happens to be the biggest in the country, that the creditors approved a scheme where we know that Steinhoff, as it is now, they owe almost 10 billion euros, and that was due end of June. So they've managed to extend that, and you look into their assets, they're sitting at almost 7 billion euros. So that tells you that the company is insolvent. And then as a result, they've extended that. So doing that, you get the current ordinary equity shareholders that they will own almost 20% of this new unlisted entity. And all this Steinhoff, as we know it in Frankfurt and in the JSE, they will be delisted. And that 20% shareholding in the unlisted companies, should they be able to repay their debt and start making money, then people can convert that 20% into money.
So you were just explaining what can happen, but what could be the action of the recourse for those who lost millions of rands when the company's audit scandal was revealed?
There was a restructuring that was approved that people will get X amount. We've seen the biggest investors like Christo, they didn't get what they've put in, just like other pension funds. Unfortunately, that's what happened, that as a shareholder, you happen to be the last person in the line to be able to get whatever that you need to get should a company go bust.
So let's just go back to the oil price. Like we said, the oil price is up, and usually Sasol locally also goes up. But Sasol's share price dipped today. I think it's around 1%. Does this have anything to do with the Competition Commission's judgment for excessive pricing of natural piped gas?
Definitely, that had an impact on them. Remember, the guys have been accused that they've been having markups of almost up to 72% when it comes to other suppliers. And when they do that to those distributors, then it means us as end consumers, we are also paying more because the guys have to pass over those prices to us. So yes, the guys have one or the other have to pay a penalty for doing all those things. So for them to lose that case, it tells you that that might have an impact on their earnings going forward, whether they get a huge penalty or not, but it also informs you that whatever that they've been generating as a revenue coming from natural gas, then that revenue or the contribution thereof will be lessened because they won't be able to continue to charge those excessive prices that they've been charging for the past 9 years or so.
Let's have a quick look at the rand. It strengthened today against the dollar. What are you expecting for the rest of the week, especially with US data coming out tomorrow?
Depending on the number that we're getting tomorrow from the US CPI, we're expecting that the inflation will continue to go up in the US, but compared to May, it went up by almost 4%. This time we expect around 3%. So that itself, should it happen, it's gonna continue to tell us that this whole thing has to be cemented, that interest rates in the US don't have to be aggressive as they used to be, and that's not gonna work to the advantage of the US dollar. And we expect the rand to continue to benefit from that, especially if we see commodity prices going up at the back of the stimulus that we expect from the likes of China, because the rand itself is a commodity currency.
Thank you so much, Makwe. That was Makwe Masilela from Makwe Fund Managers.